Hey Dad, today I want to talk about the Seventh Amendment, the one that guarantees something incredibly simple but incredibly powerful: the right to have ordinary people, a jury, decide civil disputes. Not government officials, not federal agencies, not judges appointed by the very institutions being questioned, but regular citizens. The founders had seen firsthand what happens when the government gets to decide its own civil liability. So they built a safeguard into the Constitution. If there's a dispute over rights, harm, or government conduct, the people get a say, a public check, a community voice, a civilian guardrail. That's the heart of the Seventh Amendment. Why it matters now is across the country, we're seeing more federal operations with ICE task forces and other agencies operating with a speed and reach the founders could never have imagined. And with the scale becomes something the founders did imagine: civil harm caused by federal agents and citizens seeking answers from their own government, property damage, wrongful detentions, use of force that injured bystanders, civil rights claims, and most gravely, deaths that families want answers for. These are civil disputes, the exact type the Seventh Amendment was designed to put in front of a jury of ordinary citizens. The problem today isn't legal, it's access. And Dad, that is where things get complicated. It's not that the Seventh Amendment doesn't apply, it's that people can't even start the process needed to use it. Because in more and more cases, before a civil claim can be filed, before facts can be gathered, before a complaint can even be drafted, the federal government steps in and blocks the transparency that juries depend on. The clearest example is what happened after Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed. Local law enforcement, the ones who normally investigate shootings in their jurisdiction, reported that federal agents seized critical evidence. Federal agents took control of the scene. Local investigators were barred from interviewing key witnesses, and DHS and DOJ insisted on sole authority over the investigations. That meant no independent local fact-finding, no community oversight, no transparent gathering of evidence, and no public accounting of what actually happened. Dad, think about that. The Seventh Amendment says civil disputes involving harm, especially harm caused by the government, should ultimately be reviewable by a jury of citizens. But if evidence is withheld, if agencies refuse independent review, if local investigators are shut out, if the facts are locked behind federal access, how can a community ever bring a civil claim to the point where a jury can evaluate the truth? The amendment didn't fail. The process leading up to it got blocked. And this isn't just Minnesota. Across the country in multiple regions, there have been reports of federal agencies restricting local investigations, refusing to provide body camera footage, withholding names of officers involved in fatal force, sealing records, and transferring agents out of state before interviews could occur. Different places, different circumstances, same pattern. When the federal government controls all the information, the Seventh Amendment's promise of civilian oversight becomes impossible to access. Dad, here's the question I keep coming back to. You and I have always agreed on one thing: government power works best when it's accountable. So here's what I'm struggling with. If the Seventh Amendment gives ordinary citizens the right to judge the government's actions in civil disputes, what does it mean when federal agencies can block the transparency needed for a civil case to even begin? Because a jury can only review the facts if the facts are available. And right now, in far too many places, they aren't. That's what worries me. And honestly, it's why I think the Seventh Amendment matters more than most people realize.